Hi from Gabriele of Staticalmo, the statistical consulting service that aids companies, organizations, but also individuals to make more rigorous decisions thanks to different domains of statistics. This video of economical statistics can work as prevention for problems with your employees, starting from a general question. What does explain salaries in a country? To answer this and the part that pertains to your employees, I googled number of trade union employees by country and I found the OECD, that is the National Bureau of Statistics of Europe, and we have many countries here that also don't include European ones, for example New Zealand or Mexico. Inside this table you see many holes. In the case of Italy, you see that it stops in 2019, and you see that we have a decrease. And honestly, I don't feel convinced at all by this value because I know from articles like this one that the main unions of Italy have a steep decrease since 9 years. But I didn't spend much time going into the methodology of this data. I tried to export this table as CSV to put it inside the spreadsheet, but the usual problem of having the dot instead of the comma as decimal led me to just copy and paste this inside here. Then I did some minor cleanings. After that, since we have holes, I took the last value for the available year with this simple function, and then I took the data of the median income. Median means central value of a distribution. In case of income, we can't take the average because we know that the average income doesn't have a normal distribution, but something different. But this median income has also two standardizations, one for the dollar and one for the purchasing power parity. The data comes from Wikipedia, from this very useful formula, because we just insert the link of the provenience of the table. Then we say that we want the HTML object table, and this is something that if you know a little of computer science you will understand immediately. Then I put the index and then just a setting, and as you can see we immediately have the median income. After that I put the clean data here, and I added also the population. How? With a slightly more complex formula that took the data from an external sheet that I didn't build, but I just googled population of world countries and I found this very handy spreadsheet from which I could take the data. And the results were not perfect, so as you can see in some cells I had to do manual correction. So with all the data I could do a first chart to see if the amount of employees in trade unions explain the median income standardized of countries. And this is the first answer. As you can see, we don't have a linear relationship, but something more like a logarithmic relationship. And this explains 17% of the variability of the median income. And if you feel skeptical, this is too high, I somewhat agree with you, because in other videos I showed that you can't just study a phenomena with a single variable. Because if you do, for example, the partial correlation, of course this correlation, because we can see this also as a correlation, will go down. But you will understand that it is not my idea to take this kind of data to study this phenomena, but it comes from some research of the last 5 years. The problem of the chart done of Google Spreadsheet is that I can't customize it much. So I went to repeat the same on Tableau, because there you will see also why I added the population column. As you can see in Tableau, we can also add the label for the country and the dimension that indicate the population. Here we also have the significance for this relationship, that is the p-value of the frequentist approach to statistical significativity. And you notice here that we have some values a bit off this range, we could say. And if we remove some values that we see as outliers, you'll see that the R squared, that is how much variance we explain of this, will improve without losing the significativity. First of all, I will start from removing the United States. Motivation. This is something to investigate in literature, and this is the usual work that takes 2 hours to justify 2 sentences in the case one writes a publication. Just with the removal of the United States, we explain 7% more. Then we could say to remove Luxembourg, because again, you see that it is too much off this range of the logarithmic relationship. And we still explain around 25%. We could then say small countries have a very different relationship with unionism, because basically they don't need it, because they all know each other, so they don't need to enforce this kind of relationship between employer and employees. So we say if the population is lower than 1 million, then remove it. As you can see, we still explain 25%. I want to remind you that it might look few in absolute terms, but I want to remind you that we explain almost 25% with one variable of the median income. Down here we could see potentially the South American countries as outliers, especially Mexico. But the R square goes a bit down. We do the same for Costa Rica and we go to 27%. So just this variable explains between 17 and 27% of the target variable, that is again the median income standardized. Of course, it is not enough to do a conclusion, a scientific study with this kind of analysis, but as I said, my analysis comes already from results. You could say that here we have just a part of the countries of the world, mostly the richer one. I agree. In fact, for example, if we add Cuba, that most likely belongs to a high unionism for historical reason, but very, very low median income, it would classify as an outlier. And most likely the same would happen for China. High unionism, but around 11k for the median income. So it would find itself more or less here. Then also we have no representation at all for African countries and Asian countries. So we could narrow down the field and say that these relationships holds mostly for the first and the second world. So that is Europe, North America, and some of the South America, and a tiny part of the Middle East. In this video you saw one variable that pertains to a social phenomena that partially explains salaries in some countries. It doesn't answer directly what you can do to prevent problems with your employees. First of all, have a company that actually have profits, because unions can't exist if workers know they can't get better conditions. If you have the interest to improve the conditions of employees, obviously if the conditions can allow that, you can contact me to build an incentive system that tracks results and assigns productivity prices only when the tracking shows results that are significantly different from the ones had from another time window. Otherwise, I advise you accountants that, especially in Italy, knows about fiscal planning, so also of company welfare. It's all for this video. I hope you found it useful. Bye, and see you the next time.